Darling, say I do. Baby, say I do. Mira, yes, he say I do. Darling, say I do. It's I do Ghana.
The last time
Yeah.
we discussed value.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Today we have something special.
Of course. God is good. I actually do have something special. It's a bit of a sensitive topic for me to talk about.
Even better.
Yeah. My hope is I'm actually even trying to see if I can impact you. So, what you guys don't know is usually every morning, me and her, we go through, I would say, how'd you say it? What we go through every morning?
Like morning devotion.
It's like
Study the word.
we study together, we talk about revelations, we talk about things that we see. So everything that I share with you guys, she's actually seen me talk about. But on this very subject, I would say that the manifestation is evident in our lives, but it's not something that I have really talked about with her because I've been pondering on it. I've been pondering on it for a long time, and I think this is the time to speak about it. So today, do you mind if I just go?
Yeah, babe.
Sure.
Get right into it.
I want to talk about their heart. Guard your hearts. I don't know why this topic is very, very necessary. I think it's paramount. Guard your hearts. Out of your hearts flow the issues of life. The reason I choose to speak about this very topic now is because I just want to segue from our recent video, which talked about value, and the next step will be the heart. So the heart is an important tool in the body, which everybody knows about. It's what pumps blood, and it makes everything else work. So I want you to envision the heart like this: a tree, roots, soil, fruits. For a tree to have sustainability, the roots will have to go underneath the ground to gather nutrients to feed the tree so the tree can bear fruit. Do you agree? Okay. The roots have to first find the right soil, which is going to have the right nutrients. Anything the tree needs to prolong or to give it sustainability. So then the soil is very important. The soil is a representation of your heart. And why this part is really necessary to me is, see, I could find all kinds of soil to sow a seed in. But the question is the soil the type of soil I want for that particular seed? If I found a hard soil, can I plant in it? If I found a soil which doesn't have enough fertilizer or manure, can I successfully grow my seed? Your heart is the soil for seeding. The human heart is where we plant, where the seed, which could be any form of manifestation. Seed could be happiness seed, joy seed, prosperity seed, what else? Everything. Being a parent seed, being a wife, that is where the seed is planted for manifestation. But what I have come to notice as an individual who having gone through a marriage and looking at all the things that happen within marriages, we don't guard our hearts at all. It has become the breeding ground of bitterness and
Infestation.
come again, baby, go ahead.
Infestation.
Infestation. Thank you, honey. Honey, thank you so much for that. And neglecting the very sole purpose of the heart, which is to be the soil within which we plant the seed that manifests. The manifestations are the fruits on the tree that anybody can enjoy from. But for the tree to first go through sustainability and produce for harvesting, it has to find the right soil. So because we have so many unwanted infestations in our hearts, the seeds that are within our hearts are not able to manifest because it's being choked by the weeds of bitterness, anger, apoplectic behaviors, things of the past. My friend did that to me. My husband said this to me. This girl has done this to me. So because of all these culmination of all these things, they are all embedded in our hearts and we are not able to manifest the seeds in our heart. So these weeds steal your seeds of joy, your seeds of reasoning, your seeds of wisdom, your seeds of understanding. Because the bitterness in itself, it's a virus. And with a virus, what does it do? It spreads. Like weeds in a soil, weeds on the soil spreads and takes away the nutrients necessary for the seed to grow so the plant can grow and bear fruit. The weeds compete for the soil. Bitterness, envy, jealousy, these things compete with our hearts. And the seeds that God has placed in our hearts, which are to be manifested in our lives, are choked because of these things. Now let's bring it to marriage, where is of course where I like to talk more. So honey, I've been with you for a while now. I like to put my life on display, especially my marital life, because out of my marital life have I attained the wisdoms God has exposed me to and unraveled me to the mysteries of marriage, because marriage is a mystery. So honey, you remember our old chapters, Thank God It's Over, where we'll go through a feud and you will find me saying unnecessary things like cursing you out, calling you names, things I don't mean. The reason why I say what I'm saying right now is, imagine if you took to heart every word I said to you. Imagine if you harbored every nasty, unnecessary, stupid agenda that I portrayed and conveyed to you. Could we be where we are today?
Oh, hell to the no.
Why would you say that? Today I'm asking the questions. I want to answer the question.
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Because if I had taken those things to heart, there would be no place for this marriage right now.
There would be no place for this marriage.
There would be no place for this marriage right now.
So do you understand the fact what I say? The things we take to our hearts can harbor. This is very crucial. The things we take to our hearts can actually harbor what is in store for us in the future.
Right.
Would you understand that?
Yeah.
That thing I just said?
Yeah. If I had harbored them, I would have missed this turning point.
This bag of chips.
Yeah. It's all that goodness that we're experiencing right now.
God is good.
So yeah.
I say this today because thank God He took me away from the curses that I hurled at my wife. Thank God He took me away from that.
Thank God He protected me.
Thank God He gave you the wisdom of protecting your heart. Because what we don't understand is the human body is made out of very intricate things. There's a saying that goes like this. Your attitude determines your perception. You've heard it. Okay? Which means your emotions determines how you think. You with me? We're digging today. I hope you brought your shovels because we're going to dig deep. If your emotions garners and manages your thought process, then what manages your emotions? This is what people have misplaced, I think. There is that loss of wisdom there. That is why people wear their emotions on their sleeves now. That's why people are ready to pounce on each other, because anything that is ushered, if deemed disrespectful, immediately brings out an attitude, because the emotions is what garners your thinking. But what you have to understand is your emotions are also taken from the foundations that you have as an individual. So what are your foundations? The reason I talked about value the last time is value is supposed to enlighten you and unravel the mysteries of who you are in your identity. And once you're able to understand who you are in your identity, then you are steadfast in your foundation, in what precedes you, what defines you, what makes you who you are. But if you don't have the foundation, your attitude will always show your mind how to think. And if your attitude shows your mind how to think, you will always take things to your heart. And every time anybody does you anything that is harmful, you will take it to your heart. Once you start to take these things to your heart, they get buried. And then the seeds of life, when implanted in you, will have a hard time manifesting. So do you see why it's imperative to guard your heart? Here are the things you need to know to guard your heart. Understand who you are in a relationship with. Understand this is a loved one. This is somebody I claim to love. This is, even if it came by mistake, that's not what I'm talking about. This is my husband, this is my wife, this is my sister, this is my brother, this is my mother. See, you gotta understand the parameters of the relationship. When you understand the parameters, the reason why we need to guard our hearts is sometimes we gotta understand that the things that are said today can have a lasting effect in us if we don't take care of them. I get it. I know. But I thank God that those things I said to her in the past did not do that. Not because what I said is being justified. That's not what I'm saying. I thank God that she guarded her heart to give patience to the seed that was initially implanted in me to manifest so she can enjoy the fruits of it. So what I'm trying to prove is anybody that's watching me at this very moment, well, guess what? Tag, you're it. You've been chosen. You've been chosen to guard your heart. You've been chosen to understand the foundations of humanity. Your existential philosophy. You've been chosen. Your whole existence. You've been chosen to understand the foundations of what makes a marriage. You've been chosen to understand that the heart is the one place to guard. And the only thing that guards your heart is the word of God that consistently tells you who you are in your identity. That will always remind you that regardless of what you hear from the outside, this is who you are from the inside. And once you have established that stamina, that understanding, nothing that goes in here ever ends here. Why? Because you've been chosen for maturity, for emotional maturity, for understanding. Even though we are all over 30 years, even though some of us are 36 to 40 years, even though we are 50 years, some of us are 50 years old, but when it comes to emotionality, they are 5 years old. I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to make every woman who has any type of bitterness in their heart against their mothers, against their fathers, against their sisters, most importantly, against their spouses, to let go and forgive. Close your eyes and say, Lord, I cast my cares upon you. Take this yoke off me. I can't bear it anymore. Let that garbage go. Let that garbage go. And be free, because you're not made to handle garbage in your heart. Because like I told you, that your attitude affects your perception. That means if garbage is what is your heart, which is the soil, The soil is going to feed the nutrients to the roots. Your roots are going to be your emotions. And if your emotions are feeding off crap, which is garbage, bitterness, unhappiness, and sadness, your mind is going to be infiltrated with thinking that causes depression, unhappiness. Then a beautiful young woman who is beautiful by aesthetics, she's pretty, but is damaged because insults have been hurled against her, because pain has been pushed and impacted in her, and she's accepted it deep down. So now her thinking is out of pain, so she doesn't have patience for nobody. Every time she opens her mouth, she's speaking of you ill things. You know what I'm talking about. And they go like, oh, she's so pretty by her attitude. You're gonna see a young man who is filled with so much pain. I don't know if it's neglect from their mothers, neglect from fathers, neglect from a wife, whatever it is causes him so much pain from within that he I'm sorry. This really hurts me. But he showcases that immaturity through his thinking, which causes him to act in a certain way. Guard your hearts. Out of your hearts flow the issues of life. So back to what I'm talking about, which is, if you've been chosen to listen to this message, you are chosen to be the matured one. And just like a matured person, it doesn't matter with age. Just like a matured person speaking to an immature person, we lead by example. So first, you guard your heart. The first thing. Secondly, you understand who the person you're speaking to is, or the person speaking to you is. This is my husband speaking to me. This is my wife speaking to me. So due to an escalation, my husband hurls or my wife hurls hurtful things towards me, I am not condoning hurtful things to be said. I will speak about that right after this, because all that is part of emotional immaturity. But if out of the escalation, insults and things that breaks a person down is thrashed at you, understand that you're speaking, or whoever is speaking is an immature person. It's a kid in terms of emotionality, and they are just spewing nonsense, spewing stupidity. So you gotta see, just like when a little kid insults an adult, he doesn't take it to heart and looks at the kid in its entirety. That's a little kid. He just has no wisdom. Because truth be told, let me show you something here. People that usually espouse and usher out insults are immature in their hearts. And most of the things they are telling you is because you are too good in their eyes, and the only way to speak to you at a level where they can get you is to bring you down to where they can be as dirty as you. It's like me wearing a white shirt, but just muddied out with crap, with chocolate and mud and all the nonsense, and I look at you, you're wearing white. The only way I can have a balanced conversation with you is to bring you down to my muddy level, just so we can both get down and dirty. So if we understand that most of our husbands and our wives, in a place of contention or consternation or misunderstanding, insults are flying in the air like the air that we breathe, let's not take those words seriously. Let's not take those things that they say to our hearts. Because one thing about the heart is a burial ground. And if you put a seed in the soil, you bury the seed, it will manifest. If you take those words of hurtfulness into your heart, guess what? It will be buried in your heart. That's why 5 years ago issues are still fresh to you today. That's why something the friend said is still fresh and new to you today. That's why you can't forgive your husband because of that thing that he did. That thing that he said. Because it's still freshly buried inside of your heart. Guard your heart. Out of your heart flows the issues of life. And the one thing with a heart is anything you bury will manifest. It will manifest whether you like it or not. The manifestations will flow through your emotions, and it will infect which is going to be your manifestation, because don't forget, your mind literally is your world. And in as much as your imagination is wide, the world is your canvas as to how much you want to imagine and fulfill and bring. So if your mind is infected, how do you manifest the things of your heart? You will actually follow the emotions that it produces to your mind, and you will always find yourself on the other side of who you were actually meant to become. So anybody who is going through pain, I am sorry for you. I understand your pain. I understand that somebody hurled unnecessary things at you. I understand that you didn't deserve it. But here's what I want you to know. I want you to know your worth and value. I want you to know your worth and identity. And I want you to know that whoever says and does anything to you has no power over you except what you take in your heart. So whatever has been done to you from the past does not define who you are, but it's up to what you decide from today to see in yourself. That is what defines your future. And guess what? When you start to give access to your heart for the things that are meant to be planted in the form of a seed, which is what God has originally planned for you, which is joy, peace, which is prosperity, which is health, whatever He has given you in the form of a seed will start to do its bidding in your heart. It will start to grow. Once it starts to grow, it will start to manifest. And guess what? Once it starts to manifest, whoever it is that did not see you in that light will begin to see the fruits that will be, oh my God, I'm sorry. This is something that bothers me because I know the severity of it. So sorry. I know. And I know the damages it can do. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that the victims, whoever feels victim, knows the truth, so they don't end up in depression and end up disqualifying themselves when they are more than qualified. That who you are is not determined by what is said to you. And when they start to see the fruits that are going to be showcased from that seed of love in your heart, they will start to see the manifestation of who you are. They will start to respect you for it. They will start to see you for it. And they will start to now come to your level. If you're a wife, your husband says things to you and insults you and does all this, just understand one thing. He's immature. If you have a wife who is insulting, yes, understand he or she is immature emotionally. That's why they convey their messages in the form of insults, because whatever they say is not intellectual enough to get your attention. So once they put it in the form of a bombard way of insults, then you allow it to sink in so you can stoop to their levels, just so they can get you to subdue. Don't fall for the pranks anymore. But because I'm here to elevate marriage, because I'm here to explode and experience and showcase the strength of marriage and the peace of marriage and what marriage can do for us. That's why I want us to understand that we guard our hearts. Because you want to know something? As part of my realization, most of the insults I hurled towards my wife, I meant none of them. None of them. I will say hurtful things because I feel like she's hurt me in a specific way. She's not doing anything about the hurt. So the only thing for me to do is to get her in a balanced, hurtful way, just so we can both feel hurtful. Guess who was immature, imbalanced, egocentric, and just a plain old little boy? That was me. Because the funny thing is, sometimes I will say something, I will realize I said too much. That was unnecessary. Find me an hour from there, chasing after her, begging. Like a little goat. Like a pet. Honey, I'm sorry. I played myself. Honey, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. You know what? But see, in the heat of the moment, because my emotions, because my attitude depicts my cognitive reasoning, my mind. All my mind was doing was just concentrated on looking for hurtful things to say without actually meaning any one of them. So like I said, your attitude depicts your perception. So because my attitude at that point is I am pissed, I am mad, so I am going to say whatever comes to my mind. So you see, I want to vacillate. I want to create a distinction here. The distinction I'm trying to create is I actually didn't mean what I said. I didn't mean any of those words. In the heat of the moment, I just wanted to let them out to feel part of the battle. But right after it, here I was apologizing. But the truth of the matter is, imagine if she had taken those things to her heart, harbored it in her heart, thought those things I said are what she is, starts to believe them, starts to walk in that light. If that becomes her foundation, my dear ladies, my dear gentlemen, that is dropping her self-worth. And once your worth is dropped, just like everything that is devalued, it's worthless. None of you out there is worthless. You are not worthless. You are worthy. You just don't have the wisdom of knowledge. So again, I'm gonna be done here, and then honey, if there's anything you can help me with, you please do. Is guard your heart, because out of your heart flows the issues of life. Which means if your heart is filled with bitterness, it's going to flow into your life. It's going to showcase itself. I understand some of the bitterness were not caused by you. But forgive. Take the high road. Don't do it in your strength, because in your capacity, you're going to fail. Because you know what? You're going to take it today, you're going to take it tomorrow, the third, you're going to say, can't take it no more. That's not what I'm asking you to do. What I'm asking you to do is to find the almighty creator of the human heart. Because he knows how he created it. And he knows exactly what it's meant for in the form of a tool. So you go and you pray about it. Because let me tell you one thing about marriages. You invest everything into it, which is your time and efforts. And in your time and efforts, spirituality counts the most. You go to Father. You get on your knees, you tell him. And one thing I love about my God is you get to tell him exactly how you feel. Dad, this hurt me so bad. Like, this hurt me so bad. Take it off of me. Take this load off of me. He's going to give you the peace that surpasses all understanding. And in that, you're going to start to mature in yourself. And you know how when a tree, when the root of a tree attaches itself to the right soil, it's almost impossible to uproot it unless you cut the tree down. But the stem and the roots are just intertwined and gripped. I'm telling you, he will give you the revelation that will grip you into the foundations of love. And once you start to understand the value in that light, the way he created it as a mystery, you will start to manifest. You will start to not let people push your buttons. You will start to exude this confidence of value, this confidence of self that has nothing to do with ego, but has everything to do with value creation. Your spouse, who may want to bring you down to their levels, will have no other option than to see you in the value of who you have become. And actually, to a point, say, I give up. I'm sorry, I give up. You're such a human being. You're such a better human being. Understand this principle. It's imperative. The principle, the wisdom of patience is a whole topic I will really speak about. But I want to go into segment by segment because I'm going as I'm led to open up the mysteries of marriage to everybody. But once you start it, don't put a date to it. Don't say I did it for 3 days, I'm done. No, I want you to understand that whatever you do, think of a seed. If today there's a consternation or there's a fight between you and him or him and her, whatever it is, and he hurls insults at you and you remember what I told you and go like, you know what, this guy told me to go pray to God. You go pray to God. You're like, I did it 2-3 times, I'm tired. No, you got to have the patience. Think of a seed. It's planted. It needs nurturing. It needs watering. It needs patience. The growth would occur. And when the growth is occurring, you don't push it down. You don't treat it. You continue to water it. You water your seed that is in you. You water the seed that you are planting in them. Sometimes surprise them. Don't give them the response they want. When your spouse says something, with the intention of aggravating you to bring a certain response, manage your emotion. Remember that you are the driver of your body. You are the driver of your emotions, and the foundations of your heart, which is the word of God, is what gives the emotions the power to affect your mind. Remember, because when we are angry, we forget who we are. I'm going to have a segment on sanity and insanity very soon. But we forget who we are, and then we get to meet fire with fire. But sometimes try the anomaly. When you feel the rage, you tell the rage that I am in charge. You calm down, you subdue. And when he calls you the names and the insults, you look at him and say that this is not the husband I married. This is not the wife I married. But I know that God is still working on you. For that, I'll say nothing, and I'll say, I just love you. And walk away. Watch him get very distraught. Very distraught. Very disoriented. What the hell just happened? What just happened? Wait, what? Usually when I call her stupid, effing, whatever, she will also come back and say, you effing broke ass, that, and this and that, and it will really escalate. And I'm like, all right, then we're not talking. Because you see, most of the times in a fight, if one of us is wrong, because I know I'm wrong, I just want to escalate it just so I can get a 2-3 days buffer zone, so I can really think of what I did and really find a way to apologize. So sometimes we just make up the fight because we know we are wrong. So whoever has been chosen, I hope you will let wisdom win. Today, wisdom has been tumultuous. It has yelled. To those that have ears, let them hear. That's what I have to share with you guys today.
Wow. Okay. I don't have anything to add to it. So.
Really?
Yeah.
So am I taking that as a good thing or a bad thing if you don't have anything?
Yeah.
Did I overtake the
It's a lot to
unpack?
Yeah.
I know.
Just thinking.
Because I sat down and I literally just opened up our 11-year battle and where God has brought me now. And my appreciation to him as part of my worship was, I thank you that nothing was harbored in our hearts.
Right.
Because we would have never seen the manifestations of where we would have become.
It's like it would have stunted our
growth.
Yeah.
I believe that. That's why I just felt the need, because I just shared value, so I wanted to go into God in your heart.
Yeah, knowing who you are will help you so much. Finding your worth in Christ will help you so much.
See, guys, this is my first, how do I say it? My number one
Audience.
She's my number one audience. So if I can get to her, then that means I got to you. And whatever she has to do, if she can get to me, then she's got to you. Because we represent ourselves in understanding. And if we can understand, that is 50% women, that is 50% men can understand. If we have that struggle, 50% men, 50% women are going through that struggle. That is a law of probability. So that's why we will continue to do this and share the message to you. We love you guys. God bless you. Good night.
It's I Do Ghana.